This past Sunday, I completely avoided one of the lectionary readings from Exodus chapter 32. Partly I blame the gospel reading from Matthew and the epistle from Philippians for being irresistible. Partly I blame my reluctance to bite off more than I can chew and hopefully digest in a relatively short and efficient reflection. Notice I don't say sermon because that just sounds too ponderous. But if I'm being honest, it's also partly because the Exodus raised too many issues that are just too close to home right now. Lots of questions popped into my mind that I knew would lead to Jacob-level wrestling. Questions about what constitutes good leadership, what makes for good discipleship, questions of what allows a well-intentioned leader to capitulate to the worst urges of their constituency, questions of what causes people to become so fed up with their leaders that they rebel. The events in Exodus 32 which precipitated my avoidance make up the golden calf incident. From our comfortable distance, it's pretty obvious that turning everyone's earrings into a golden calf and worshiping it is Class A idolatry, a really bad idea. What on earth made any of the characters involved, Aaron, the elders, all the people, think that this was something even to joke about, much less do? After several months of pandemic restrictions, I get boredom and impatience. Moses and Joshua went off 8 chapters back to get exhaustive instructions on the ark and the tabernacle and various priestly details, and those instructions make the candidacy and ordination processes in the United Methodist Book of Discipline look lax. Exodus mentions that Moses was on Mount Sinai for 40 days and 40 nights, while Aaron and the elders were in charge of the people down below. So yeah, the people are impatient and bored and probably a bit suspicious that Moses has forgotten his constituents down there in the foothills of Sinai while he's up on the mountain with the Lord having awesome experiences of power and glory. But come on, idolatry? Looking at how people have tried to cope constructively with pandemic restrictions, I'd hope that they'd have tried puzzles first, or xeriscape gardening, they are in the desert, or work on alphabet design, or come up with inventive new weeknight recipes for manna and quail. But no, kind of like a car that goes from 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds, the people go from impatient to idolatrous in 4 verses. Moses is left to intercede for the people with the Lord, desperately reminding God that these are, after all, his same beloved people, descendants of Abraham, to whom God promised a great land and heritage. Moses also points out that if the Egyptians ever got wind that God destroyed those people he had so dramatically led out of Egypt, it'll damage any claims to divine grace and mercy and benevolence on God's part. To make a long and gruesome story short, Moses smashes the tablets of the law he just received on the mountain from God. Aaron and the people are strongly scolded, sides are taken, thousands are killed, and a plague comes upon the people because they have sinned. God changes his mind about destroying them all, and Moses persists. The case of the golden calf was a very big deal, and I think one of the reasons we still refer to it is that people have not changed very much over the millennia. Though cases of worshiping bovine figurines made from earrings don't appear to be frequent these days, idolatry does remain a very real and very destructive sin. You and I probably don't have to rack our brains for too long before we come up with examples of people worshiping, giving their hearts and souls to things other than God. Patience and self-control, meanwhile, are probably in even shorter supply now than they were in the wilderness days. Again, we don't have to look too far to find folks who haven't held up well with this time of restrictions. It's also starkly apparent in this election season that across the political spectrum there are plenty in the population who are eager to have leaders who will give them what they want right now, and plenty of leaders who are susceptible to the temptation to gratify their basest impulses. I closed Sunday's reflection with words from Paul's letter to Philippi as he's wrapping up his letter, and I will close with those words again, but with a warning. Faithful discipleship and faithful leadership both take time and patience and persistence, especially when the world's situation is hard. Neither discipleship nor leadership glitters like gold most of the time. From Philippians 4 now. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, think about these things. Keep on doing the things that you have learned and received and heard and seen, and the God of peace will be with you. God be with you till we meet again.